James Gunn in a short clip here, James Gunn and his partner Peter talking about building the DC universe. This is a little over a minute clip. Let's watch it and talk about it on the other side.
We are building the DC universe, not the DC planet.
We love the idea that in 2025, it was the summer of Superman, and the movie delivered commercially, critically, audience, fans, everybody embraced it. And the fact that a year later they get Supergirl, and then the year after that in 2027 to have Man of Tomorrow, it's just great that we've kind of built this cadence of films around the super family that we're incredibly excited about, that all feel very different, but are special and unique in their own ways.
Yeah, they really are all different. I mean, even Superman and Man of Tomorrow. So we get to see different facets of storytelling with each of these things, different facets of the DC universe, the DCU. And it's been an honor for us to be a part of it and to help to keep these characters that we've loved since our own childhoods alive in the different media they're able to be in today.
What do you guys think? Usually you build the universe around a team like the Justice League or the Avengers. They're building it around the super family. We've got Crypto. Are we going to get other super, like a super horse? Or what are some of the other, what are they doing? What do you guys think?
Bring on the Crypto movie. Just cut out all the Supermen and women and just make it, just give us Crypto. Because that's what James Gunn really wants to do. He just wants to make a Crypto movie at this point. And so be it.
Super Pets. He's going to make a live action Super Pets.
Yes. Yes. That'll be fun.
I like that movie.
Yeah, I don't know why they started with Superman and then Supergirl. It just doesn't make sense to me. They should have gone with another legacy character, Wonder Woman. They're getting Green Lanterns. Okay, so we're getting Lanterns. Maybe, if you couldn't go to Batman because there's, stuff with Matt Reeves, then maybe you move to, the Flash or some other major character. Supergirl is like B-list, C-list, way down the line. All right, she's in like phase 3 or 4. I mean, you don't get the Supergirl in your second movie. So this is building zero momentum. Like, how many people are going to show up and watch Supergirl? And then now you're trying to build it up to Man of Tomorrow. I don't know how many people are really going to rock with this after Supergirl probably flops.
Well, by the way,
not starting with the Trinity is such a miss. Like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. It is such a miss. It's almost like James Gunn is like, no, that's what audiences want. That's what they expect. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm not going to give them what they want. They can wait for a Wonder Woman. They can wait for a Batman. I'm not going to do it right now. That's not in my cards. I'm going to do what I want. It's a huge miss because there's so much storytelling that you can do there to get fans hyped and excited. And what we're getting is just like, really?
Yeah.
Supergirl, Green Lantern looks like crap.
Well,
there is no momentum. There's
it makes me wonder
to.
partially if he's not able to do Batman until the other one's
I think it's
done.
Matt Reeves, and
I was starting to wonder that too, because like he's been talking Wonder Woman and Batman at nausea otherwise, but then you're right, like this is the one thing that makes no sense. And I'm one of the few people on the panel who did enjoy Superman, right?
I enjoyed it.
But at the same time, I'm looking at this going, what the fuck are you doing releasing Supergirl next? If anything, this should be a Lobo movie with Supergirl as the guest star. Right, because if anything, anybody's responding to anything, it's the Lobo aspect of it. And I know very little about the Tom King story that it's based on, but it's nobody's favorite from my understanding either. So I have no idea what the hell he's thinking here with this. Because you're right, you start with the Trinity. You get them out of the way first, then you start working on this other crap. And none of these characters, Supergirl shouldn't even have her own movie. She should always just be as a secondary character anyway. Any redundant character should always be pushed to a secondary role anyway.
And we just had that Supergirl series, and the Helen Slater movie. That movie was not well received.
No, she was fine, but yeah, the movie bombed big time. Yeah,
it was cheesy. And by the way, have you got your tickets for Supergirl yet? They're not hard. They're not hard to get.
Easy.
In fact, yeah, I made that joke too. Yeah,
yeah. There's in fact, there's a Wednesday early access fan screening, plenty of tickets, folks. I looked. I mean, I might change and get a better seat. I don't know. Have you guys got tickets?
Yeah, I got mine. Do
Yeah,
my
I
due
did.
diligence.
I'm walking up.
I know. Yeah, that's
won't have a
fine.
problem.
walking up. I'm not worried
problem.
about this at all. I think
Yeah.
the
Not
only
worried
movie I'm
about
worried about
not
where
being
I
able to get a
live
ticket.
is
Anywhere you
Odyssey.
want to, man.
But you may have a problem getting this popcorn bucket for the
Oh,
Odyssey. What is that?
Yeah.
That
I
would-
know what Alan's putting in his mouth.
Wow.
Like a Deadpool bucket.
I'm gonna put my whole fist in there.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's
He's gonna fist the hell out of his mouth.
that's from an
Maybe a
up
couple
and
of
coming
seconds,
YouTuber, Nerdrotic. Check him out.
Never heard.
Oh
of
yeah, guy from YouTube, Nerdrotic,
Yeah.
as they said on the Gutfeld show.
Some guy, a YouTuber. Hey,
Before we move on, just
Sure.
because I've been
Ooh.
thinking about it, like regardless of what you think of Superman, we all agree he should have done the Trinity. That's why they're the Trinity. I honestly don't think there was ever the intention to fully build out a DCU. I think it was to make it seem more profitable. So whoever did purchase it would purchase it. And like now he's kind of trapped, which is why he went from, I don't like Superman. I don't want to do Superman movie. Okay, I got a dog. I found a way into it. Peter Safran convinced me to do this movie. And now he's just doing his stuff because his contract is up. So we're getting Supergirl, and then we're getting Man of Tomorrow. That's not a sequel to Superman, but it's a sequel to Superman with all the new characters.
I see where your logic comes from. The only problem I have with it is that the thing is this was all set in motion way before the sale of Warner Brothers was a thing. And as people need to understand is that it wasn't like Zaslav was planning on, like, he didn't have the company up for sale. He was still nursing it back to health. And then, you know, it was Ellison who kind of started the whole sale thing off the way it happened. Because this whole thing was they were whining and dining James Gunn for a longest time to get him to take over DC over there. And he finally decided to. He was making this Superman before he was the head of DC. People need to remember that this was supposed to be just like the Batman. It was just supposed to be another one of, you know, off on the side kind of movie until they had got whatever shit they were going to get together. But they had the hopes that they could get James to take over. That was their whole plan from the start. Because that was one thing I was constantly being told. And I agree to a point, like at this point, I think the way he looks in that interview is he's starting to feel some heat.
It's Creature Commandos.
it's
Peacemaker.
Well, and the copium that fucking Safran is huffing, he needs to get to James right now, because James, you can tell, is really like there's some cloud hanging over him, and I think he realizes that this Supergirl movie is not going to perform. Like, let's be real.
Superman underperformed. I'm sorry. You know, it just
underperformed for superhero films, but it was the best performance for a superhero film in a while, especially in the US. That's the one thing. So it's a mixed bag. Same thing with the Batman. It was all a mixed bag. We are never going to get these billion-dollar superhero movies anymore outside of Spider-Man and Deadpool,
right.
Probably.
But here's the problem: is they don't say that. Like James Gunn's a liar. He's been caught so many times. Yeah. He said that the reason they went to video on demand under the 45-day window so that because Peacemaker was coming out, which he said he had no control over, he wanted people to understand it because watching Superman was so important to understanding Peacemaker season 2. And then Ted Sarandos, under oath, testifying on their merger, said that it went to video on demand early because it was underperforming, which is not the same as we had to rush its complete opposite.
That may be, but he did admit that these movies won't make $1 billion. He's the only one in Hollywood that has been saying that. You got to give him that much credit, because he's the only one out there going that we never expected this movie to make $1 billion, because none of these movies are anymore. He's at least got that, you know, he's not trying to convince himself otherwise of that at this point, because let's be real, yeah, Superman should have performed better, but at the same time, the way things are going, that's why they considered it a success, because it did better than it should have, considering how the last few Marvel movies had performed outside of Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Sounds like media spin.
But good enough shouldn't be our target, which is what we saw with
but the thing is regardless of what they said, the guy, what's his face from Netflix said, fucking Sarandos, the whole reason they moved Mortal Kombat to this year was because Superman met their goal financially, so they didn't want to put Mortal Kombat out then. They wanted to save it for now. So that is enough for me to say, look, they met the goal that they had. Did it underperform compared to what they were hoping for? Oh, fuck yes. I'm sure they wanted it to make $1 million too. Who wouldn't? But at the end of the day, this is just not going to work, because Supergirl is the follow-up. That's the one thing we can agree on, because at this point, it's a stupid move.
The other issue is James said that they wouldn't make or greenlight a movie until there was a solid script, and then he greenlit his own movie when he just had like an outline that he then went to rewrite 3 different times. He's got one woman, Anna Noguera, writing like 3 movies so far: Teen Titans, Wonder Woman, Supergirl. Again, based on a property. I have read that book. I read it. It's a 2-hour fucking road trip movie, basically, with her and Ruth finding themselves throughout the galaxy. Where it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't follow any logic. He can do Batman whenever he wants. He has no. Yet people have said that like he's not going to do Batman in the same calendar year as Reeves, and he wants Reeves to finish this and this, so there's no confusion. But then he came out and said, "No, that's not true. We're working on Batman right now. I can do it whenever I want."
The problem with James Gunn is that he played his hand at the beginning of his leadership tenure when he came out and said The Flash was his favorite superhero movie. It was the best superhero movie. And at that point, everybody knew you're a liar. So we cannot take anything you say serious. You have shown that you're a liar, and we can never trust you again. And then he has proven time and time again that he's full of crap. He's just going to say whatever he has to.
On everything.
Well, that's you look at this Supergirl movie and it's like, okay, that's a James Gunn movie. This is going to be a James Gunn movie. It looks like a James Gunn movie. It feels like a James Gunn movie. We know he's got full control, and so be it. And this is the James Gunn DC universe, and it's gonna be here for a very short amount of time.
Because after that, he liked Blue Beetle as well.
Oh yeah,
and I agree. That was his biggest mistake. He should have never commented on the films that had nothing to do with him prior to DC. That was a stupid move. First off,
I thought he said that Blue Beetle was like the first DC, like official DC.
That's what I mean.
Shazam's in his own corner.
He's been so inconsistent, and he's being a company man to the point where you should have just not said anything about any of those films,
right?
And you'd have been fine.
They told him to.
I think that was the problem.
Yeah, because he also had Tom Cruise saying the same fucking thing. So what's the difference? Like, clearly they had some kind of campaign behind the scenes to get everybody they could to go out there and praise The Flash because they knew it was going to be a fucking disaster.
He also said
makes it worse, though.
He also said he was going to let like individual creators do their own thing, but he's an executive producer on everything. And Greg Gillespie had just had his thing where he just was talking about how fun it is to debate with Gunn about musical and editing choices.
About editing. Why is he editing?
And, I'm thinking the reason Anna Noguera has gotten all of these is she writes just like Gunn wants. And that's why, even though it's not written by him or directed by him, it looks like it's both written and directed by him because it's just him. It's instead of like, shout out to Bo DeMeo for the first season of X-Men 97, where I know he made decisions he didn't agree with, but he knew for the strength and the sense of the story, certain characters did or didn't do certain things. With Gunn, it's just like, if he likes it, it's the right choice. I'm picking Damian because I think he's cool. I'm picking Guy Gardner because he's an asshole and I like him. It's not what is best for the story and universe, and then maybe favoring a little bit his own choices. It's just whatever he wants. It's literally his universe, which would be fine if it worked.
And that's the problem with having a visionary director. And it was the same issue with Snyder, right? Having somebody who has such a strong visual vision and a style and a tone for their films and that's maybe why I'm not reacting to it the same way other people are, because I already know what to expect from him, and that's fine with me. But at the same time, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, right? Like, if you're going to do this in a certain way, to me, the era of doing these combined universes of superheroes and all that kind of stuff is over, because the weight of the Marvel universe crushed under itself, right? Like, the last Deadpool movie was basically making fun of that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem with this, is you can do it for so long, but once you get to a point, you're going to lose the audience because they cannot keep up with 12 different series and 20 different movies in a year.
You lose the audience.
Some characters don't deserve that level of attention anyway. Like, Supergirl just should not be a movie at this stage of the game. I think Clayface, I don't know what that's all about. I don't know why they're doing a Clayface movie, but everything, like you're saying, when it comes to this superhero universe stuff, it's past itself by now. All right, we're done and over with this shit.
Gunn told you why we're getting Clayface. That was
because they had to add stuff. Yeah, they need stuff.
It was good. It was a good script, and they needed content. Was his verbatim fucking answer to that? So he took something that was supposed to be
Badger. It doesn't fit within any conceivable vision. Like you guys are saying, James Gunn's supposed to be this visionary that can kind of see the end from the beginning. So you should be able to see how all of this is fitting together. And it doesn't look like he's making anything with any rhyme or reason or care of what's going to come next. He's not building momentum. The way the MCU started off was with Iron Man, then it went to Hulk, and there was a forward progress to that universe. Everything built upon itself, and you could feel the momentum moving towards Avengers. This is moving absolutely towards nothing. And that's the big problem.
Yep.
James Gunn's vision is, I'm just doing what I want to do. That's his
Don't know
vision.
Batman.
He doesn't really give a damn about the future of the DC universe. And what pisses me off is we're not going to get a cohesive, legit DCU that matches what the MCU gave us, because we don't actually have a visionary at the front of this thing trying to put together a universe that makes some damn sense. Like you guys said, we should have already had the Trinity out, and
I think that's why Marvel is failing so much, because like in phases, what I don't even remember what phases they
4,
are,
5, 6.
or whatever,
Yeah.
that there was no, it wasn't leading anywhere. There was no cohesiveness. They ended up putting agenda before the storytelling. They could still be at the top, and people could still love the Marvel movies if they had stuck with, we're going to continue on with the storytelling, continuing with these phases. Instead, they were like, we're going to start pushing an agenda, and we're going to start pushing all these characters and what we want at the forefront, and sacrifice the audience, sacrifice storytelling, and people just dropped off. And it did affect a lot of the other superhero movies, because people were just tired of crap. But because James Gunn didn't really start off with a trajectory, there's nothing. What do you have? What is your forward? What is the story? What is the ultimate goal? None. There's nothing. It's just what James Gunn wants to do. I'm going to cherry pick all of these favorite characters from that I like, and that's basically what I'm going to tell. Those are the stories that I'm going to tell. That is the vision going forward, is what James Gunn wants, and that's just not what the audience wants.